welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Noel. Of course, it's always a pleasure to do these calls because we know that we are imparting important information for today's society. And some of the things that, of course, the other speakers would have mentioned during the course of this 60-day run. I think we reached the 31st. This is the 31st session installment of this 60-day run. And, every time we hear the presentation, it does something to us. It actually renews our vigor and our passion for what we do. And it is really, really befitting that we do this right now because everybody's home. So everyone can come on their computer. They don't have far to drive and literally come and hear what we have to say. So what we'll do tonight is that I will do the first part, and Michelle will do the second, will take that second part, of course, right? The part that she does so well. So welcome everyone again, and thank you. So let me start sharing my screen and get right into it. So hopefully we can finish on time and get everything done, all right, the way we would like it. Okay. All right, just a little feedback. Are you all seeing the screen? Yeah? All right. So, welcome again, everyone. Tonight, I want to do it a little different. I would like to literally go back in history because there are certain things that we see that is happening again. And, this important text here, this is an ancient text that says so much, and it goes like this: the thing that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. There's no new thing under the sun. To put it in today's language, history repeats itself, and we all hear this and we all bandy about this statement that history repeats itself. But this is followed by another ancient text that says, there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. All right, so these are ancient texts, very, very wise texts. And of course, it was written by the wisest man that ever lived, King Solomon. And this one simply says, we easily forget our history and the future comes from the past. All right, it's very, very deep things. And I'll show you what I mean by this. So we forget our history and the future really comes back from the past. So that second statement actually adheres to that. So let's take a look at something that, it is cause and effect. And I think this little clip explains it very well in the Matrix. Let's take a look at it.
I am a trafficker of information. I know everything I can. The question is, do you know why you are here?
We are looking for the keymaker.
Oh yes, it is true. The keymaker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The keymaker himself, his very nature is a means, it is not an end. And so, to look for him is to be looking for a means to do what?
You know the answer to that question.
But do you? You think you do, but you do not. You are here because you were sent here. You were told to come here, and then you obeyed. It is, of course, the way of all things. You see, there is only one constant. One universal, it is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
Everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
So some of you may agree with this statement, some of you may not, that choice is an illusion, that everything is causality, cause and effect. Something, you do something, it causes an effect, and so on and so on. And, if we look back in history, we are going through a period of flux right now in our whole environment. We're talking about finance, we're talking about health, we're talking about social, we're talking about all these things. So could history teach us something about what we're experiencing today? And I think so. Because if we go back, we don't have to, I mean, we could go way back, yes, but we may not have to go so far back, only until, of course, the first depression that ever happened. And let's look at some of the things that basically happened to cause that. And of course, it was caused by just the stock market. It was just panic on that stock market because stocks fell by a certain percentage that some thought it was so large that they started to sell off a lot of the stocks, and it caused panic. And because of that, it had a ripple effect on the whole financial system back in 1929. And of course, that Great Depression lasted for 10 years, 1929 to 1939. But in 1933, something different happened in the sense that the banks, they closed banks for a 5-day period. And also, they had asked everyone to bring their gold in for exchange at some later date of monetary value. So if you look at this chart here, you would see exactly some of the events that took place. You had Black Thursday, Black Monday, Black Tuesday, and so on. You had high unemployment. You had an agreement called the New Deal being signed. Of course, it's a stimulus package. And you had, banks closing, you have banks reopening, you have certain things happening. But at the end of it, there was something particular that happened in 1941-42 when the war started. Pearl Harbor, of course, was attacked by the Japs, and America went to war. And the unemployment was very, very high in America. I think it was in the millions. And this here was even more or less added to with what is called the Dust Bowl, where the Americans, the farms and stuff had turned into a dust bowl, and therefore they couldn't supply food for themselves. And many people were out of jobs and everything. So it was further compounded by what took place there in the Midwest. All right. And he saw that, of course, when they went to war, the wives of the people who went to war went into the industries. A lot of people moved away from the farms, went into the industries, and started to work. And that in itself boosts the economy. Okay. So let's look at the 2008 global crisis. And you saw that caused by the deregulation in the financial industry. So it had a deregulation where now people could do certain things and really wrap certain financial products together that was unheard of and sell it. So banks were permitted to engage in hedge fund trading. Banks demanded more mortgages. Of course, these mortgages, everybody knows the story. These mortgages became toxic. And when a lot of the other banks wanted to buy the debt, there wasn't any money to be found to buy those debts. And it had a ripple effect, of course. It had systemic risk. And of course, we had the Great Recession of 2008, 2009. All right. So let's come forward to today. Now, again, what happened in 1929 actually started to repeat itself here. Yes, it has some closure of banks. Yes, people lost their jobs. Yes, there was a stimulus package. So you found that there were certain common threads that happened before, and it's happening again in 2008, 2009. So let's come forward to today, 2020. And you see here in this picture, there's a bubble and there's a pin. And of course, the proverbial pin on the bubble. And this bubble is actually federal debt bubble. So it has been mounting for a while, for a long, long time, since 2008, 2009. Within 2010 to as last year, it had the longest bull run in history when it comes to the markets. All right, very long. And, a lot of debt build up during this time. But there's something happened in 2020 that just came out of the blue, the coronavirus. And what a lot of the financial people are saying is that COVID-19 is actually the pin that is going to burst this debt bubble. And many times when things like this happen, a lot of people, and you have to check yourself as well, a lot of people is not prepared for something like this. Because again, it comes out of the blue. Although we knew that America and a lot of the other world countries, the countries of the world, had this mountain debt that is taking place in currency. All right, so this is today. So let's hear now. This here, of course, is the new IMF head. Let's hear what she is saying. That was just about 2 weeks ago when she came out and made an announcement. And this announcement actually threw off a lot of other markets because it is very significant in what she's saying. I want you to take a listen.
It is now clear that we have entered a recession as bad or worse than in 2009. We do project recovery in 2021. In fact, there may be a sizable rebound, but only if we succeed with containing the virus everywhere and prevent liquidity problems from becoming a solvency issue. A key concern about a long-lasting impact of the sudden stop of the world economy is the risk of a wave of bankruptcies and layoffs that not only can undermine the recovery, but can erode the fabric of our societies. To avoid this happening, many countries have taken far-reaching measures to address the health crisis and to cushion its impact on the economy, both on the monetary and on the fiscal side. The G20 yesterday reported fiscal measures totaling some $5 trillion, or over 6% of global GDP. It is very important for those ahead in taking action to share their experience with those still behind. To support.
Okay, so she said some key things there. She said mass unemployment. She said stimulus package. She said also social unrest. All these things she mentioned just from what is taking place right now. And those are the exact same things. If you go back to 1929 and 2008, those are the exact same things that the governments and they were talking about and they wanted to do. So nothing has changed. All right. So some things just don't change. So we started, of course, with the corona, and we had the lockdown where the world, and never in history has this ever happened, where the world was put basically in their homes, away from any activity that will cause contamination of this new virus, right? So that means that a lot of businesses, one cause again, well, in effect, a lot of businesses had to close their doors, banks and so forth, and in turn actually led to something else. All right, so we had the fall of the market greater than the Great Depression of 1929, when 1,035 days it fell by 83%. However, in 2020, this crisis, in 21 days, it fell by 20%. That is almost 1% every day. And there seems to be no, yes, it will go up and it will come back down, but there seems to be no stability at this point in time. So is this different? Yes. And then you have the stimulus bill. So we are seeing some common threads here. The stimulus bill for small businesses, unemployment insurance, and so forth. And this is the exact same thing that it did back in the Great Depression. And it is also the same thing that it did in 2008. All right, so you have this massive, and you heard the head of the IMF say that around $5.3 trillion. Of course, we know it's more than that. And, you know, there's some other things that we will get into, but because of time, we are not able to. And just about a day or so ago, we had the death of oil. And we had oil going to its lowest price ever. Now, this here is a very telling sign of how serious this event is. And of course, you have the banks closing, and they're saying that the banks are closing because of fear of spreading coronavirus. All right, but these are the exact same thing that happened, of course, those other two times as well. So we have ICE 9 may be true. Now, if you don't know ICE 9, let me explain it to you a little bit just for knowledge. All right, ICE 9, it's starting to actually seep into the financial realm. And a book written by Kurt von Gogh, The Cat's Cradle. What this book identify is that, you know, it's just a fiction, but it says that this particular substance, ICE 9, which was created by man, of course, in the labs, what happened to this is that once it comes into contact with water, water freezes at room temperature, but it doesn't end there. What it in turn does is turn that water into ICE 9 as well. So when that water comes in contact with other water, guess what? The same thing happens, and so on and so on. In his book, The Road to Ruin, James Rickards identified and used that element of ICE 9 to describe our modern day financial system, in which he says, listen, we cannot separate the financial system into silos. One thing, once it starts, will affect the other, and that other thing will affect the other, and so on. And we saw it in 1929, in 2008. We saw it also in 2013, 1933, and so on, where banks had to close. All right. So what he is alluding to is that, listen, once an event starts, if it's not contained within a specific time, it actually goes all the way to the end, which is total ruin. And I would encourage anyone to get this book, The Road to Ruin, right? The Global Elite Secret Plan, and so on and so on. And we don't want to sound like, you know, conspiracy terrorists. I don't say terrorists, but conspiratory, you know, terrorists. But it is what it is. And we see that we have facts to literally substantiate what we are talking about. All right. So I would encourage anyone to get it, but it's very interesting, this ICE 9 theory. So let's hear some of the things that the experts say, and everybody knows one of these persons that is going to talk here.
Mentioned, Jim, we spoke to him last week. I know he's growing all his own veggies and fruits, so he's doing well wherever he is. How are you doing?
I mean, I'm doing my best to stay isolated, but I'm not stopping, you know. I'm not, it's not that I'm not afraid, is that I'm prepared. You know, I kind of have the Dirty Harry approach, you know, make my day. You come after me, I'm going to come after you. And that's what I wrote about. And by the way, the Twitter was taken down because I posted the real facts on coronavirus, the flu, diabetes, gunshots, and stuff like this. It's a ruse. I mean, I don't doubt it's real, but it's blown out of proportion by the media. It's a fake. It's a deception to steal our money. So that's all I'm saying. And
all right. So that's what Robert Kiyosaki is saying. And everybody knows Robert Kiyosaki and some of the books that he wrote. Of course, one of the most famous is Rich Dad's Poor Dad, and the other one, the Cash Flow Quadrant. All right. So this is him. And let's hear this other person who's also well known, who really doesn't do a lot of interviews. But when he does, people take a listen to what he says. All right. So this is Frank. Let's hear what he's saying.
But ugly in the sense that our money will be worthless, ugly that we'll be in a recession, people will be out of jobs. What's ugly?
Well, what's ugly is that these things usually lead to either hyperinflation or to some sort of a collapse. And with those things comes geopolitical conflicts and, you know, social conflict, you know, massive unemployment, lots of crazy. I mean, just look at what I suggest people, I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here because, you know, I'm here to talk about gold, but I think a lot of people should dust off some history books and really look at what's happened in the past when this sort of thing takes place. It's not pretty.
All right. So he says, dust off some history books and look into the past to see how these things happen. And he's saying, and he says he doesn't want a song really like a downer. And literally, we don't want a song like that neither. But there are certain things that just happens and happen again and happen again. And you could look at it and prepare yourself for when it happens, you know exactly what to do. And this is what this talk here is about tonight, is actually preparing you for certain things that is happening so that you could be in a correct position. All right. So let's turn a new leaf. In times of change, learners will inherit the earth, while the learned will find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. And this was coined by Eric Hoffer. And it simply means this, that the ones who figure that they know and do not want to change will be in a world that, hey, they will not be relevant anymore. And we see that happening over and over because in 1941, the housewives of that day learned new skills. They had to go outside, they had to go to the industries, they had to build equipment to fight a war. So they had to learn new skills. In 2009, many people did the same thing. I have a niece and a couple of my friends who had to develop new skills because of that Great Recession that took place. Because they couldn't stay in, a lot of them lost their jobs to begin with. And there was no going back to that. So you know what they had to do? They had to find something else to actually survive. So they had to learn new skills. In 2020, guess what? What do you think we need to do in 2020? Because the pre-COVID era and the post-COVID era will be two different eras. And if you don't take this time that you are home in your house with no other stress maybe, and you have a lot of spare time on your hands, if you don't take this time to develop yourself, to get a new skill, to look at where everything is heading and position yourself there, then you would be in problems. So in 2020 is no different. We all need to turn a new leaf. And what we want to introduce you, of course, tonight is that new leaf. How do you go about doing that? And we are here to talk about this new money system that is coming in. So we went back to show exactly what took place. We are here at this point in time. We know what is taking place now, and it is no different. And in the things that we have to do is that, listen, we have to get new skills. So with that, Michelle will continue and show you how money is evolving and what you can do in order for you to take advantage of it.
All right. Wow, I think we could just end the presentation right there, because then and now, and the fact is nothing new under the sun. But let's look at money. Why we are showing you this, we're giving you a little recap of, or we're bringing it to your attention. Maybe you didn't really notice it, but let's look at it. We learned about money, the money system through the barter system. And that back in the day, we exchanged goods and services, one for the other, of value. We learned that in the school system. Then we moved to gold coins. Money moved to this. It became risky. It became very heavy to walk around. So we stopped. And it moved to what we know now. And what do we know now? This paper currency that has practically no value. If you go and do the research, Ivan just did a fantastic history on certain things, you would realize it has no value. However, I leave that up for you to do some research while home. And then came the credit card systems. I am from banking and insurance. And back in the day, I remember when cards were coming in, people were scared to put their information on the internet. Guess what? Some still scared, but today it has become the norm, right? The norm. Then we moved on. Systems such as PayPal, Perfect Money, WePay, Apple Pay came to work alongside these systems in the world. And what we are introducing you to is that it is no longer coming, but it's already here, and you may have heard it. And the person who have invited you to this call tonight may have said a little. And let's look at it. The highest form of payment right now existing is cryptocurrency. I do hope you know something about it. Let's look at it. Cryptocurrency, simply put, is digital money that uses a special technology called blockchain technology and a method called cryptography to produce stores of value that can be utilized as forms of payments for goods and services. It operates on supply and demand and behaves more like silver and gold. The technology, a little bit on it, is that it's digital technology, the blockchain, that records and verifies transactions. Now, some may say we already have technology that does that, But the difference with blockchain, it is very cost efficient. It helps lower the cost in transaction. It can track and trace anything of value, and you're seeing these points highlighted here, and it eliminates any attempt of fraud, duplicity, and forgery. So it's practically a little bit safer. Who needs it? Why are we telling you it? Well, the World Bank says that 2.5 billion people are unbanked. But you know what? Everybody does have this 2.5 billion. We all have access to a smartphone, which is what is needed to operate this kind of money. And we also have internet, which is what we are using right now under these circumstances. Besides that, it helps, as I mentioned before, lower the cost of transaction. And one of these is remittances, where sending money, which is normally very high for people who have to use it, the Western Union, the MoneyGram, it is lowered. Global trade is also helped in this area because it crosses borders. And this type of money, when you do the history of it, you would realize it actually helps in maintaining some value, in protecting your income and your wealth, okay? So what are the others saying? I like to just highlight some points of what the world is saying about this sort of money. Back in 2018, you would know the G20 nations, and these nations would normally come together and discuss our financial life, the country's financial life, wherever they represent. And back then, they were saying some things. Some said neutral, some said legal, some said illegal, and some said restricted. I'd like you to take note that Canada says it's legal, America says it's legal, and United Kingdom says it's legal. Now, why did I highlight these? Well, for us in the Caribbean, most times these are the countries that we deal with or we do transaction with. However, when I saw this, I got intrigued as a banker, and I knew I had to spend more time in actually sharing this knowledge that I have gained by becoming a part of this business. And guess what? A couple months after, which was in the same year, the G20 says that they are now going to regulate the crypto assets for anti-money laundering. Now, my thing is, once laws are being passed and anti-money laundering guidelines are being highlighted and introduced, and they are looking in it, then it's only a matter of time it becomes part of the norm, just becomes part of our daily living. But it didn't stop there. Just last year, they went on and they reaffirmed their positions on regulations. So whether we like it or not, it's gonna be here. So what are we doing this for? Why are we doing it? Why have you been invited? Why are we taking the pain and actually being outnumbered at times because of the negatives and the people who do not understand? Well, we have a proposition, and it's very simple. The proposition we are given to you is really to re-educate yourself. What we are telling you is become part of our One Academy. This is what we are bringing to you, and this is hope. This is hope amidst everything else. And we are giving you a new way, new innovation. And our One Academy is the heart of the company called OneLife. And what are we doing? We are learning from international financial experts in here. We practice our skills, our trading skills, and we earn levels of certification. And in what? Forex, finance, e-commerce, and law. So let's go in a little bit. Forex is necessary because it's a skill, because even though we do not understand right now how to trade currencies right now, imagine what we can do when we have to trade cryptocurrencies. And our founder in our organization, Dr. Ruja, was very brilliant to give us the skill to tell us that we need to understand it, because these markets open 24/7, 5 days a week. Well, the crypto markets open even over the weekends. So it's something that you need to understand, and we have it in the system. So if you had to ask me what skill or what industry or job line that someone should get involved in, well, this is a new skill. amidst crisis. Another thing you should note about it, it's a 5.1 trillion daily. I mentioned this already, and it went to 6.6 trillion. Besides that, I mentioned finance. So after you have learned trading and you're making your money and you're understanding how cryptocurrency can be traded one with the other, guess what? You need to diversify. You need to understand where your finances are to be diverse. And if you look at this on page 8 of the book, Introduction to Finance, page 7, to spur economic growth, the central banks all around the globe introduced extraordinary measures. Main interest rates were lowered to negative territory, while the printing presses of the United States Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank seem to be running without a break. Mind you, it's 4 years now we have been introducing this to people, and we have been saying this. We have been saying this, and guess what? Nothing new under the sun. The very same thing that the book tells us that Central Bank did around the globe. Ivan just went through it and showing you what the European Union is doing and different governments. So are we telling lies? No, we are not. We are giving facts. Besides that, you need to understand how cryptocurrency works. So you need to understand the laws in different places. So we have discipline or levels of education in legal definition of cryptocurrency, economic valuation, the impact on the traditional market, the types of systems, legal implication for regulators, ICO regulations, integration of cryptocurrency, enabling cooperation with the banks and the institution, and compliance system and tax regime. A lot there, a lot of information that we don't know. If you're looking to tell your child what they should be studying right now, I would tell them, learn about not just law in the regular sense of the law to be a lawyer for criminal or for different things like that, but in cryptocurrency, this new money system that is already here. And we also have e-commerce, where we actually show the value of advertising online, how we can become a merchant, and how we can use this special type of currency, and how we can increase your sales with it. It's beautiful. And we also have for children. We have a superhero, but we have made it simple for people, for children. So when you purchase an education level with this One Academy, you actually get this financial education free for children. To me, that is just like us selling encyclopedias long ago, because you get the books and then you have all this information in there, and it helps everybody in the household. So I love it, right? So what we are saying is, this is your step. What you have been hearing, how do you get involved? You get back to the person that will give you the information. But really, it's about selecting which level of education that you wish to be a part of. And with it comes something called tokens. You will understand all of this. Don't worry about it. You will be educated. But guess what? The tokens, it's free. It comes free. But you also have to say yes. So imagine you're getting something free, but you still have to agree for the free. If you agree with the free, it goes through some processes and it ends up being ones. And our ones, what you're seeing here, the cryptocurrency that we deal with, ones, is actually worth 42.43 today. When we got involved, it was 6.25. So you could see the growth that one of our ones is and what is valued at today. If you had to bring it into TT, this is roughly about 340 TT dollars, if my maths is good. But assuming you had 100 of these, you would have a value of 4,243 euro dollars. That is what you would have. What can you do with it? Well, I like to say that you can become part of our ecosystem. Dealshaker.com levels the playing field. Why? Because it's the only online platform. Yeah, many out there. We know e-commerce for a while, but it's the only one that is actually using cryptocurrency. So if you had to say which brings usability to the best, you're looking at it. Dealshaker. We are all around the world. We are all around the world. We sell all items. I don't think Amazon sell cars. No. So at the end of the day, we have big ticket items. And we have, these are just some in our country, but if you go to any country, we in 194 countries, which you'd see the mention of it in a slide to be soon. And the thing about it is, these are just in ours. So every country, we have use of it. We also have doubles. You can buy vehicles. And I mentioned that before. And this is a slide I was speaking about. Usability, functionality, and reliability is in our system, our ecosystem. And I'll just say before I go on and let you know, it's accepted in, it's accepted in 194 countries, 3.6 million users, because these are students, these are people who are learning and gaining education in whichever discipline. And we have over 120,000 global merchants. Now, if you take your currency, whichever country that you are in right now, and you put it in the middle there, as how you see in our ones, every country has its own ecosystem. Every currency has an ecosystem around it. What you are being invited into is education that is training you, educating you for something now and in the future, futuristic, new technology, new innovation, but we have global outreach. Our currency, TTD, Trinidad and Tobago dollars, cannot cross borders. Ours can cross border, and we have use of it. We have an entire ecosystem that we have use of it in 194 countries. If you don't understand that power, I do not know how to make it even more simple. But the person that invited you could give more details. What we are saying is we would like to grow, and we would love to grow our merchants base to 1 million, and we would love to grow our education base, meaning students, to 10 million. We have timelines like every other company. And if you decide to become part of the business and do just what we are doing, inviting others, talking, giving hope to others, adding value to others, the company says they will pay you a small commission. I believe that's a win-win situation. So in my wrap-up, I am going to say it all over again. I like to reiterate. You can stay in the present economy right now and earn your money. It doesn't matter which country, earn whichever currency. But by becoming a student, retool, reboot, re-educate yourself in our online university called One Academy, choosing your discipline and saying yes to what comes free with it, because it's a choice, you end up with some coins. And the coins are called ones at this value of 42.43. And you have use of it in our economy, our new economy, dealshaker, which operates side by side. Win-win. It's a win-win situation. And should you participate, the company says you will be able to earn a little commission.
But how many people actually earning this though?
So Ivan is tricking me here. He's asking now, how many people actually earning in their economy right now? And I want to agree with him. So the choice is yours, because I am saying you can stay in the old economy, but I'm not saying you wouldn't earn income. I'm not saying it wouldn't exist. I'm not saying it's not existing. I am saying side by side, we have a new economy and it's existing, and we are actually earning and creating a new currency, one that has cross borders. And we ask you to make this choice. The choice is yours either way. We want to thank you for being on the call, and we want you to know Together for More is real, and one for all for one. This is about education. We love being a part of it. Our lives have been changed for the past 4 years, and the knowledge that I've gained and the understanding of cryptocurrency I would not have gained if I did not make a choice, or I did not see the need to change my way of thinking and get the understanding. And you have no problem, because we sell understanding, as our Blue Diamond would say. We sell understanding. Thank you very much. Blessed night.